This is why you should never talk to strangers. In the early 2000s, a young girl was waiting outside her friend's house peeling the bark off of a tree when a strange man approaches her. As he got closer, she could see that he was grinning ear to ear and his face was white as a ghost. He walks right up to her and pinches her on the arm and says, "How would you like it if I peeled your skin off?" Just then, her friend's mom yells for her to come inside, and the man walks away. It would be years before the girl's mother would finally tell her who this man really was. Her friend's mom had seen the man pinch her on the arm and had immediately called the police, who quickly rounded this guy up. Plastered all across the inside of his van were dozens of pictures of this girl. But what they found in his storage locker is straight out of a nightmare. In the locker was a chair with hand and arm restraints. Next to it was an anatomy book and hundreds of torture tools.
It's 2007 and a young boy and a father are traveling from Window Rock to Gallup, New Mexico. The father is a delivery man who takes his son with him on his long car journeys, and on their way home they encounter Travis, or Trav, the father's best friend and colleague. And together they all travel up in a convoy back home. It's part of this convoy that they see it, hundreds of meters ahead of them, this huge hulking mass, some sort of dog or coyote, but the largest they've ever seen. Father radios Travis in the other car. "Hey, Trav, you see that big-ass dog up ahead?" And as soon as he puts the radio down, he hears Travis's response. "Drive, man, fucking drive. Fucking hit that thing, man. Just don't fucking stop, please." The two have known each other for years, so he starts accelerating. But as soon as the headlights hit the creature, he floors it. It's a massive coyote covered in blood with a twisted human face. Seconds from impact, the creature darts off to the side of the road and starts chasing them up the freeway. They're not sure when it stops chasing them, but eventually they're pulled over by a smug highway patrol officer who asks what happened. Tell him it was a skinwalker. He goes pale face and lets him off with a warning. Like for the next part.
So we live in a really, really old house. It was built in the 40s, and the only other previous owner was the man who built the house, and he died the day we got the keys. He never had any kids and any pets. And we noticed all these hacked up bones in the backyard next to weird shit. So we called the police, and now the police are here, and the police are like, "What the?"
This is why you should always lock your doors. A class was playing a game of Kahoot when they heard a voice on the intercom say, "This is not a drill. Go into lockdown." The students huddled in the back of the classroom, and then the power went off. Minutes later, the students heard the sound of a man screaming at the top of his lungs, running down the hallway. The lunatic man started banging on the lockers, and his screams gradually got louder. He then started banging on the classroom window, yelling, "Open up." He eventually left, and 10 minutes later, a voice on the intercom said a mentally ill person had entered the school and attacked the lady at the front desk. The staff did a sweep of the school and still couldn't find him. So they locked the doors and resumed class. Later that night, one of the janitors went into the utility closet when this happened. Here's why you should never go on the world's tallest water slide. In 2014, in Kansas City, the world's tallest water slide, the Verricht, was opened at Schlitterbahn Water Park. The Verricht has a 168-foot drop, which then shoots you up a rise on the slide and then descends another 50 feet into a pool. The combined speed of the 17-story drop and the water jets caused the ride to have a 400-pound weight requirement to keep it from going airborne. In 2016, 10-year-old Caleb Schwab was planning to ride the Verricht with his 12-year-old brother Nathan. Due to the weight requirements, the two were separated, and Nathan went first while his brother Caleb was seated with two older women. But witnesses reported that their weight did not meet the requirements. At some point after the 168-foot drop, Caleb was thrown from the ride and hit one of the metal rings supporting it at nearly 70 miles an hour. Reports say that the 10-year-old had a fatal neck injury and was decapitated, while his 12-year-old brother witnessed the incident and screamed hysterically. Days later, the park announced that the ride was closed and was scheduled for demolition.
Boy, did this kid pick a good night to have his phone out filming. In 2008, a teen decided he wanted to film himself playing the very creepy Midnight Game. In a nutshell, you turn off all the lights in your house and you walk around from midnight to 3:33 a.m. And if at any point you stop moving, the Midnight Man will attack you. Around 2 a.m., the kid thinks he hears something in the kitchen, but he also thinks his mind's just playing tricks on him because he is playing this game. But he goes to check it out anyways. When he gets downstairs, he doesn't hear anything, but he does see that his door is now open. And when he goes to shut it, someone pushes back. He sprints away, goes upstairs, jumps into his room, but keeps filming.
Whenever I think of creepy, strange places, I don't often think about Australia. Well, at least until I found about this place. Kalakajaka Mountain, or Spear Mountain, is a sacred place to many First Nation people, and has been the home of many strange deaths and disappearances throughout history. Now, the mountain is made up of thousands of these huge black granite boulders, and when the wind hits it just right, it's supposed to sound like the wailing of all the souls that the mountain's claimed. Pretty freaky. Now, here's one of my, I guess you could say, favourite stories about this mountain. It's in the summer of 1882, and two cattle herders are looking for a lost calf. Both men stumble into a cave chasing the animal, and both men disappear. Hours later, a police officer and a tracker are dispatched to find them. Hours later still, only the tracker returns, and everyone describes him as unhinged. He somehow changed after he came back from the cave, driven mad by what he'd seen. Now, there is so much more I could say about this mountain. This mountain has secrets, and I got them too. Like for part 2 or whatever.
The picture behind me might look like a normal photo, but it's actually one of the most sinister, real-life haunted photos in history. Taken by a professional photographer in 1972 as guests arrived for a wedding, everything in this picture looks happy and normal. But if you take a closer look at the man standing in black, you'll see something odd. You can actually see somebody in white crouching behind the man. All 4 of the people in the picture said that there was no one behind them when it was taken. The photographer said the same thing, and that it would be impossible for someone to crouch behind them without him seeing them. This is a better picture where you can actually see the guy's legs, and then in the top you can see his eyes. The picture was even examined by police photographers, and they confirmed that it was genuine.
Yes, the picture at the end is real. In 1876, a woman from a very prominent family in Paris goes missing. After years go by and no one has a clue what happened to this woman, friends and family ultimately mourn her death and move on. 25 years later, and this anonymous letter shows up on the Attorney General's desk, claiming that the missing woman's family had a secret. Intrigued by the letter, the police go to the family's home, show it to them, and ask to search the property, to which they say, go for it. They search, they don't find anything, but on the way out, they notice something very peculiar. At the end of some stairs was a door that was padlocked shut. When the family refused to open it, the police break it down and make a horrifying discovery. Cowering on a rotten straw mattress in a pitch black room was the missing woman, now 50 years old and extremely malnourished. Her mother had imprisoned her there after they had fought over her boyfriend, and she had not seen sunlight or another human being.
Here are some things that actually happened at Disney parks that'll scare the hell out of you. First up, we have one that literally sent shivers down my spine. A teen once drowned trying to swim from Tom Sawyer Island back to the main Disneyland park. That's right, 2 brothers snuck out and hid on the island until park closing. They then tried swimming back to the main park, the older with the younger one on his back. But the older one went under and they found the body the next morning. I think they actually closed that attraction down because of that story too. Pretty scary. Next up, we have one that's super creepy. But people consistently try to dump the ashes of their loved ones on Disney's property. This actually is a girl that got caught doing it. This has supposedly become such a big problem over the years that employees have been trained on how to handle a guest when they think remains are being scattered around Disney. Next up, we have a super scary one. But the spirit of a little boy actually lurks in the Haunted Mansion in Orlando. Cast members have said they hear him giggling and mimicking the hurry back lady after the ride shuts down at night. Pretty cool!
Even creepier, if you reverse her song Hit Me Baby One More Time, you can hear her say, sleep with me, I'm not too young. Now, I heard about that one in a Matthew Santoro video, and when I heard this, it fucking blew my mind. So first, let's play it for you normal. Okay, so now let's play it backwards. I mean, you heard it, right? Like, I heard it. And a lot of other people heard it too. And the theory is that the music executives were selling sex. I mean, she was 16 when that song came out, so the subliminal message of, sleep with me, I'm not too young.
Eso es una cámara.
This was one of the strangest experiences of our lives. Nara Dreamland was an abandoned theme park in the city of Nara, Japan. It was originally built as a replica of Disneyland. But when the actual Disneyland opened in Japan, they started to go out of business. It's been abandoned now since 2006 and was eventually demolished in 2016, just a few weeks after we snuck in to see it.
How is this for kids? Playboy 1999 calendar.
We may have been the last people that ever got to explore it.
This is the scariest Easter Bunny story you will ever hear. But is it true? In 1949, a man in a bunny costume was commonly seen wandering the streets of Fairfax County, Virginia. This man would go outside and watch the children play every single day, and when they asked him who he was, he just said he was the Easter Bunny. He would watch these kids until they went inside their homes, so he could figure out where they live. At night, he would break into their houses and kidnap the children after hacking up their parents with an axe. The police finally connected the strange murders and the kidnappings to the bunny, but they could never find him. No one knew where he lived or who he was. The police decided to do a night patrol, and sure enough, they found the bunny walking towards the house with an axe. The police pulled their car over and heard the bunny singing, "Here comes the Easter Bunny, hacking up all the parents I can. Hippity hoppity, bloodshed's on its way." The police yelled at him to freeze, but he didn't. They got out of the car and warned him to put the axe down or they would shoot. Part 2 coming.
Weird Twin Coincidences Part 4. So, identical twins, Richard and Damien Powles, could not only silently communicate with each other, but they insisted they could literally feel what each other was feeling. So, in a study, these two twins were placed in separate and silent-proof rooms. Richard was given a bucket of water, while his twin was hooked up to a polygraph machine. Then Richard was instructed to put his hand in the ice-cold bucket of water. At that exact moment when he dumped his hand in the ice-cold bucket of water, his twins' polygraph test went crazy. They both drew a really sharp breath at the exact same time as well, when he stuck his hand in the water. The next test involved a box which was placed in front of Richard. He was instructed to open it, and as he did, a rubber snake jumped out at him. They both did a really big leap at the exact same time, and again, the twins' polygraph test went crazy. This proved they literally could feel what each other was feeling at the same time. Weird Twin Coincidences Part 2. Like I said before, I find these really fascinating because I am an identical twin. In 2002, two 7-year-old twin brothers died on the exact same day on the exact same road, just 2 hours apart. The first brother was riding his bike on a road near Helsinki, to which a truck came and hit him and unfortunately killed him. The second brother also died on the exact same road before the family were even informed. The second brother was also riding a bike and was killed by a truck. And weirdly enough, the accidents happened on the same road, just less than a mile apart.
Milan is 16, and we know she's in love with Li Shang. But get this, your boy Li Shang is actually 28 plus years old. That's crazy. Milan, this man isn't trying to make a man out of you. He's trying to put a man in you.